So Kamala Harris, public stunt is backfiring as she is trying to take the easy way out here by doing an interview, but this time only doing an interview with Tim Walz. So CNN, this video from Scott Jennings is going absolutely insanely viral of him calling out Kamala Harris. What we really need to talk about is why does she feel that Democrats will still vote for her even if they're unclear on where she actually stands on the border, on most of her policies that people still don't really understand or know. She has explained her economic policies that have backfired. So is that stopping her? Well, Democrats seem to vote for her. They're going to want to vote for her no matter what. No matter what she does, they're going to vote for her, even if she does absolutely nothing. So let's take a look at this very, very interesting crossover here by CNN and Fox News on this. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. And let me know if you know a Democrat that is going to vote for Kamala because they hate Trump. Very interesting for you to comment that down below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this video started.
Vice President Kamala Harris has finally agreed to a sit-down interview, but she won't be facing the questions alone. And it's set to be a pre-taped joint interview with her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Let's go live to Mark Meredith in Savannah, Georgia, with the latest. Mark.
Emily, good
afternoon. Wait. I'm hearing that the questions were actually leaked. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can find that as I play this.
Afternoon from a hot and humid Savannah, Georgia, where Vice President Harris is gearing up for what could be the most pivotal interview that she has ever faced of her career, because as you mentioned, this is the one that's become so highly anticipated. It'll be taped while she's down here campaigning in South Georgia. The reason that this interview is getting so much attention is because since she became the Democratic nominee, she has largely avoided the press or answering direct questions about her policies. A former Harris advisor is trying to set up the stakes for this interview. Ashley Entine telling Politico, quote, "To be honest, a big audience for this interview is going to be the inside the Beltway crowd that really cares about this." So she says substantively draw some distinctions with Biden on some policy issues. And while there is no shortage of media outlets who would love to grill the Democratic nominee, Harris chose CNN, who some critics say is also a way to take the easy way out.
This isn't even a tough interview. This is on CNN. This is one of their media allies. She should take this opportunity to show the American people that she can handle hard questions.
Today, the Harris campaign is also pivoting its strategy.
So before we continue, so this is to the Kamala Harris supporters. What about this? What about when Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping or any other person that does not have the best interests in America or the United States, what happens when they want to talk to you before something goes down? What happens when they want to talk to the president? What are you going to do then? You're going to pre-tape that conversation? You can't do that. So I don't think a lot of people are thinking about how crazy this is, that she's literally trying to pull off this stunt that looks like it's probably going to work because they just don't care.
Today, the Harris campaign is also pivoting its strategy to attract rural voters for events in Southeast Georgia or in areas where Democrats have long struggled, but the campaign says it's willing to invest more time, money, and resources to try to turn out the vote here in Georgia. Georgia, of course, a competitive state, just like it was 4 years ago. The latest polls show Trump leading here by about 4 points within the margin of error, Emily. So you can imagine we're going to see both major candidates coming down to the Peach State quite a bit between now and mid-October when early voting gets underway. Emily?
Thank you, Mark. Well, critics are calling out Vice President Harris for not facing the interview solo. Here's one example. Scott Jennings on CNN. Watch.
I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself.
Wait. He did say it. Weak sauce.
I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand-wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small-time decision, can we do an interview or not, what does that look like for your decision-making process, so on? So, yes, I think Republicans are going to think it's pretty weak to show up effectively someone to take up half the time.
Well, Philmead, I argue
Wow.
it's not just Republicans, it's frankly any American. If you need your hand held for an interview, who's going to hold your hand when you're sitting across from Putin and Xi or union workers or any average American that's demanding an answer from their commander-in-chief?
20-0. And the answer is, the question is, how many interviews has Trump done compared to Kamala Harris? Dr. Philly did yesterday, I think it was over an hour. You know, he did Elon Musk for over an hour. He's done nonstop. He went to hostile territory over in Chicago with the black journalists. That one for at least 45 minutes. So why would you, J.D. Vance, 39 years old, kind of new to this thing, only doing 2 years as Ohio Senator? What he's done? Every single weekend, he's been in hostile territory, getting machine gun-like questions on all the Sunday shows. What else has J.D. Vance done? Oh, yeah. After every press conference, big or small, after every speech, big or small, he sits there and takes questions from the local journalists. So to me, if you want to be president, as Bill Maher, of all people, said, if you want to sit across from Vladimir Putin, you better be able to sit next to any judge, stand next to any journalist, and to have the vice president on, to have your running mate on.
That is crazy.
With you is really insulting, I think, to her. Who recommended that?
Right. And
So I did see something that Jesse Waters, he had a big episode on his show speaking and giving one of the best analysis on Kamala Harris. Take a listen to this.
Acting's all about honesty. If you can fake that, you've got it made. Those were the words of legendary actor George Burns. Politicians are actors. You come off as fake and you don't get a sequel. Kamala Harris is trying to fake her way into another movie and they're producing it for her.
She's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted.
The media is trying to produce a Kamala Harris Cinderella story and pretending no one notices the soundtrack, costumes, and props.
The entire Kamala Harris campaign has been organic. And so now we're...
What? Organic. This is the literal most manufactured president.
Wow. No way.
Props.
No way.
The entire Kamala Harris campaign has been organic. And so now we're...
What? Organic. This is the literal most manufactured presidential campaign ever. She didn't even run.
Ask you,
It's the opposite of organic. If you believe that.
Right.
I got it.
No doubt.
The script's already stale. The jump for joy could be heading back to earth, the Wall Street Journal says. Quote, many inside the Harris camp believe they can ride the magic carpet of left-leaning media bias. But Cinderella stories get stale fast in our social media-driven, short attention span world. And when they do, the media looks quickly for the counter-narrative. The worm always turns. When it does, no reporter wants to be left behind. Reporters are worrying because the DNC didn't move the needle. Morning Consult, Harris gets no boost from Democratic convention. YouGov poll, no bounce for Harris. Street vendors in New York City say they can't sell Kamala hats.
So I see you have a Trump hat, but there's no Kamala hat. Where do you get the hats from? And why only Trump?
Yeah, porque las gorras de Kamala no se venden tanto como las de Trump, y only for the business.
So the Trump hats sell more in New York?
Yeah, the people buy more Trump hats.
MAGA
What?
hats are selling in Manhattan, but Kamala merch is collecting dust? Well, it makes sense because Kamala can't even sell herself. After the convention, nominees barnstormed the battlegrounds, but Kamala took the week off. Today, she talked to high school students at band practice.
Our country is counting on you, all of you. You are leaders. By the very fact that you all are here in this room, doing what you do at this incredible school, doing it as one big team, understanding all of the different parts that fit together to create a team.
Imagine that for 4 years. I don't know if she realizes it, but most high school kids can't vote. And where'd the crowds go? Same thing happened in 2019. She made a big splashy entrance, huge crowds, adoring media, and once voters focused on her, she fizzled out. We're watching the fizzle. Kamala peaked last week and hasn't won a single news cycle since RFK endorsed Trump. She's getting cooked by Republicans, and the media can't defend her because they don't know what she believes, and neither does the Harris campaign. They stole no tax on tips, build the wall, and now Kamala says she's not for electric car mandates, even though she just said she was.
Will everyone have to drive electric cars?
Well, by my plan, by 2045, we will have basically zero emission vehicles only, 100%.
The media is asking the Kamala Harris campaign why she keeps changing positions, and the Kamala Harris campaign can't even answer.
The vice president has changed her position on fracking in Pennsylvania. Do you know why she's changed her position?
Listen, I mean, she's been very clear here. She's proud of the work that she's done as a part of this administration, making sure that American energy production is at an all-time high.
But on fracking, was there something that changed her mind, specifically during the 4 years of the Biden presidency?
No, listen, again, the vice president is very proud of the Biden-Harris administration's record on energy production and the economy writ large.
You gave the same answer both times, which was nothing. The media is more confused with the Harris people than they are with the Biden people, because at least Biden knew his own policies. So how's the media supposed to defend the Harris campaign if the Harris campaign can't even defend themselves?
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, in the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax.
Property tax.
When the value of your home goes up,
that's an old.
It's a use tax.
when the value of your home goes up, you pay
It's
higher
tiring.
taxes, even if you
And it
don't sell
doesn't
your
go,
home.
your value of your home never moves the way
Not the
a stock
same.
moves, the way something
That's
else
always the
moves that you
go-to
don't sell.
answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the school.
Wow, he's getting cooked on CNBC. He's getting cooked on CNBC.
Schools, you're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
These Kamala surrogates are well-paid professional spinners, and they're getting roasted on cable. They're getting laughed at and eye-rolled out of the studio like it's their first time on TV because they don't know what they're talking about. They just hide, plagiarize Trump's policies, and think nobody's going to notice.
The president called me and he said, you know, the crazy thing is, JD, that Kamala Harris, she's pretending that she agrees with us on everything. And if you look at her campaign the past week and a half, she pretends that she agrees with Donald J. Trump on every issue. She is running a copycat campaign. And I said, Mr. President, I think I figured out what's going on. She wants my job. She's realizing that they don't have any chance. She's going to ditch Tim Walz and she wants to run alongside Donald Trump. She's pretending she agrees with you.
Oh, wow. JD's been cooking a lot lately. That's really, I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump, like, that was funny. That's dope.
She is running a copycat campaign. And I said, Mr. President, I think I figured out what's going on. She wants my job. She's realizing that they don't have any chance. She's going to ditch Tim Walz and she wants to run alongside Donald Trump. She's pretending she agrees with you on everything, but we can't let her pretend, ladies and gentlemen. We have to remind people of the real record.
Trump's the victim of identity theft. He should lock her up when he wins. And Biden's so unpopular, Harris doesn't want anything to do with him. After the coup, they made Biden take a 20-day vacation, so no one remembers Kamala as his VP. It's hard to forget, since Kamala was border czar, bragging about Bidenomics and how she was the last one in the room with Joe before he left Afghanistan. Kamala's been devastated by JD all week. He's running around the Rust Belt, taking her apart, and the media can't defend her because everything Vance says is true. So Politico covered it this way. Vance tries to tether Harris to Biden during Michigan rally. The media is arguing Harris isn't a part of the Biden-Harris administration. Well, why would they do that if Joe belongs on Mount Rushmore, right? Shouldn't Kamala be proud to be his VP? A month ago, Democrats were not proud that Kamala was VP, remember?
5 weeks ago, she was known as a joke. She was known as a terrible vice president. Laughed at, scoffed at. They wanted him out, but they didn't want her. They would have done anything to get anybody on the list. You know, they had a list of 10 people. and they put her on the list, and she came in 11th. She was the last on the list. Then all of a sudden they realized that's not going to be politically acceptable. They didn't want to do it. They didn't have the guts to make that move. And they ended up with her. And then the fake news media, of course, got right behind her.
Her handlers don't even trust her to survive a softball CNN interview. So Coach Walz is going to chaperone tomorrow night at 9.
I think it's incredibly weak sauce to show up with your running mate. The fact that they don't have enough confidence in her to let her sit herself, the actual top of the ticket, and do a single interview. In fact, I think the hand wringing and the gyrations over this over the last month show a troubling lack of confidence in her political ability, which also makes you wonder as a voter, well, what kind of president would you be if this kind of a small time decision, can we do an interview or not? What does that look like for your decision-making process?
Yeah. Weak sauce. That guy, you know, they should make shirts. Trump should say that. Weak sauce. He should say that. Well, no, it's not going to be live. It's going to air tomorrow on CNN at 9 p.m. Eastern time, I think. And it's going to be edited. So that means that they're going to do it in the morning, or they probably already did it, and it's just going to air. And it's going to be edited, and it's going to be softball questions. And or who knows? There is always a 1% to 5% chance that it could be a big time interview where they challenge her, which I highly doubt because it's CNN. You never know. Unless you got based folks over at CNN, which they really don't have, which is a guy by the name of Scott Jennings. There's not many of Scott Jennings running around in the mainstream liberal media. So very interesting. I can't wait to see the interview. So that way you guys don't have to watch it. We'll review it on this channel, of course. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be softball. It's going to be bull BS. But once again, let me know of people that you know that are going to be voting for Kamala, even though they know that this is not good. They know that all of this is crazy. The fact that they got a pre-tape and she has to have her hand held by Tim Walz, right? Like just let me know. Let me know if you know people down in the comments. Let me know what your conversations is like with them, because they just probably don't care. They probably don't care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, it's going to be taped. It's not going to be a live interview. Definitely, I can promise you it's not going to be like Dana Bash interviewing JD Vance or Dana Bash interviewing Trump. Like it's not going to be anything like that. I could just imagine. Real quick before I go, let me read this comment. When I go to the beach, I swim, surf, barbecue, etc. Biden spent 2 weeks staring at the water from a chair with his mouth agape like a Neanderthal, and all he does is sit there. Water good, Trump bad. Yeah. That is pretty insane, but that's the country we're in. So as always, guys, make sure to smash that like button. As you can see, I got 100K in balloons because we just hit 100,000 subscribers. So thank you so much. I gotta get a new chair. This chair is squeaking too much. Make sure to smash the like button and make sure to spread the word. That helps our channel a lot. So smash it right now if you guys can, and I'll see you guys in the next one.